welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho. I've got Tim Delace with me. I'm coming out of London. The sun's still out. If you guys are watching the weather, we need the sun. But we're hoping for like in the first 30 minutes for a little bit of overcast conditions so we can take those last two wickets and then the sun can come out the whole day to watch us, to coronate the Proteas as World Test Championship finals. I'm here with Tim Delace. He is in Cape Town. And you can see with the jacket there. Tim, is the weather still that bad?
I feel the cold. Let me put it that way. I feel the cold. There's a reason why I could only last 4 years in England. There's a reason. The weather.
Hey, look, that weather is coming through for us. There was a moment where the clouds came in and we saw a spell that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And we're going to talk about that. But this is a daily recap show of day two. We do it the morning before the next day so that you know what we need to win. But before we do anything, remember if you're new to us, we are live on YouTube and on X. You can follow us on X at Full Quota Pod. You can follow us on YouTube right now at Full Quota Podcast. Just search for the name and then like and subscribe to know when we go live. There'll be one more daily. This would be the morning after the day that was, whether you are a champion or not, either we're heartbroken or not. And you can also follow us on Full Quota Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you want this to happen. To apologize to those, these ones come out just a little bit late, but because it's on audio, you can listen while the first couple of overs happens throughout the day. And then finally, before we do anything, we wouldn't do this without your help. Please help us buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com/full quota pod. We're doing this for the love of cricket alone. I'm here for the love of cricket alone and South Africa, actually, not the love of cricket. I'm actually here to try and see if we can't win another World Cup because we're a nation of winners. But I love cricket so much and it's given me this opportunity. And Tim and I have been doing this for the last 4 years, and it would be great if you just supported us and kept this thing going. It's not going to go anywhere, but a little bit of support goes a long way. Let's talk day two. At the end of day one, we said we needed to bat as long as possible, get through that first hour, try get to lunch one down. You said if we were down two down at lunch, it was over. We were one down at lunch, Tim. That partnership between Bedingham and Bavuma, over 50 runs. It kind of calmed everything in the stadium. We were very happy. We thought that's the partnership that wins us the game. It sets it up for us. It gets us close to the 200, maybe even 180, 190, but it brings us in. And it gets us close. They kept us in the game. It didn't win us the game or win us any advantage, but it was good to do just enough for what we needed to kind of still be in this contest.
It did. It took us. It took us exactly to a moment where it looked very possible, not probable, very possible that we could be at least in parity with Australia. We could at least
Mm,
reach their total. Um, with Carl to come in, with Marco to come in, there was a real possibility that we could at least get parity or very close to what Australia got. There was a good feeling. Um, I love that partnership. I'm not gonna. I absolutely love that partnership. Timber played the Timber role. Um, I got WhatsApp messages yesterday saying, after at the close of play yesterday, why wasn't Timber playing more attacking? And I just said to them, you don't know Timber. You don't know his role in the side. His role in the side is to be that rock. That's exactly what he did yesterday. If he did not do that role that he has done for the last 2 years, that has given him an average over 50, we would be in a lot worse position.
yeah.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Um, and I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 innings from Bedingham, I get it, and I do think it's come from higher above. I think it's come from Shukri. I want to see more of what we saw yesterday. Yes, it was probably too defensive in a general sense, but I want to see a man who is looking after his wicket, a man who's protecting his wicket, and is rotating the strike and not getting too bogged down.
Mm.
That's the Bellingham I want to see. Bellingham's
Look,
got obviously the best technique at the side. I want him to play more towards what we saw yesterday than what we saw against the West Indies, where he's trying to hit everything for four. That's what I wanted to see. So that partnership, without it, this test match would already be over.
mm. And look, there were signs of another partnership brewing. Him and Cal Verena, the Weinberg boys, looked really promising. What I liked about Betters and Timber today, Tim, was that yesterday was that they rotated the strike. They never were bogged down. They moved and they bobbed and weaved with the Australians, and the Australians respect Timber a lot. It's ridiculous. Like they know who our best batter is, and they could you could see with the way in which they were doing it. They couldn't figure him out. But that wicket, man. Oh man. He's been hitting the ball at the bottom of the bat the whole time, and then all of a sudden this one just bounces just a little bit, and it's an amazing catch from Marnus. I just want to go through some of the comments here. We've got Leah. Hi Leah, who's a great friend of ours. Thank you. If you want to send through more comments, please do. She mentions that it's been a wild ride so far. Super happy to see South Africa still in it. Yeah. Oh my word. We are still in it somehow. Um. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So then the drama after lunch. I don't know what they feed them at Lords, guys. I really I've never seen such a change in performance straight after a lunch break. Like, guys, I know the sticky toffee pudding's amazing, guys, but what happens? Like the tail didn't wag. Calvarina just was like, I'm going back. The food's too great. I want to go back. And man, losing 4 for 12, guys. That kind of broke us. It gave Australia the advantage back to him, and like I really don't know what's going on. Like every session matters, and Graham Smith always said it right. Every session is important, but we just hate the lunch session.
Somehow we do. Sorry, I'm just looking at trying to find a stat. Um, Look, throughout his reincarnation since he's come back from injury, this is the sort of spell that Cummins finds. Every now and then, when they needed Australia, he finds an extra yard of pace. He finds an extra yard of intensity. And it was. I've got to give some credit at least to Cummins, because without that spell, without that ferocity, without that consistency bowling at the stumps, it could have been different. We could have at least had a few deliveries out of the off stump and found our feet. But yeah, the way that we just crumbled was well, it was kind of what we were worried about. We kind of said, you know what, once we're 6 down, it's potentially all out. This is why Shukri wanted a 5, 6, 7, 8 of Stubbs and Bedium and Verena and Marco, because the idea was that they might get out, but by the time they get out, they will have scored some runs. You understood the rationale of that. You
Mm,
understood it, and it kind of made sense. But against the moving ball, against quality, this bowling attack is real quality from Australia. I mean, it is real, genuine quality. It is bowling better than us. That is unquestionably um, true. When it's this high quality, Brady said at the post match, he said, when they come at you bowler after bowler after bowler after bowler, and there's no respite, there are no deliveries in that 6, 7 stump that you can just leave and just size up the pitch after 10, 12 balls. There wasn't that. There wasn't that for Marco. There wasn't that for Kyle. It became relentless. They had to play at everything, and they were either going to get caught or they were going to get bowled or RBW. It was just, it was just relentless. I think Cummins deserves a lot of credit for it, but yes, unquestionably, some of the dismissals, even with the intensity, you would be disappointed with.
Look, I think for me that's the way that I was disappointed by it. Like honestly, you get yourself back in the game and it's out and you're in, and then Australia bat again and they start with a decent enough partnership. They try to see off Kagiso, and then Usman says, "Nah, and this man needs to take my wicket one more time." And oh man, that KG spell before T was just beautiful. And like you speak of Cummins, Kagiso gives you a spell like that and he just did it well. The question was on the other end, can somebody step up and then enter Lungingiri from the same end as Gajiso? Yesterday he bowled, or the day on day one he bowled from the pavilion end mostly. I did bowl some overs from the nursery end, but today he was predominantly from the nursery end, and he looked a completely different bowler. 2021, India, he ripped through their middle order at Newlands in a must win game. You and I were there, Tim, together in person. We actually did the show in person, and he was unplayable that day. How does this rank compared to all of his spells? Because what I saw yesterday was a guy who, yes, you can say the clouds came in just at the right time, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, he managed to get it to nip a little bit more than because everyone was like, he's not even moving it. And Lungi was like, yeah, I'm still here, guys. Say what you want, I'm still here. Somehow he's a second innings bowler, which I think is really important in Test cricket. But yeah, Lungi just rolled back the years and showed us what he could do.
Yeah, we still wanted to see on a consistent basis. That's always been our worry. It's not that he's not a good bowler. It's why do you go so off color on such an irregular occurrence? That's why he's not been a regular in the Test side. It's not because he's not a good bowler. We know his quality. We know he could do it. Um, but on yesterday, on that spell, which was vital, absolutely vital, we needed somebody other than KG to stand up. KG was not going to be able to do it yet again, where we needed to get right into their tail to have any chance of in this game. I'll leave it up to him. He was asked this question, and he said, because of what's on the line, because of what we're playing for, this is right up there. This is right up at the very, very top. Because of what this team is playing for, because of what there's a trophy at the end of the day if we do go on to take it. But it was really good to see. It just shows, as I've said, there's a quality bowler there. He still has it, but we need to see it more consistently, Lunky. That's all. Just need to see
Yeah.
it more consistently. That's all.
Look, and to a certain extent, I think Tim, that 9 over spell, Tim Good took everything out of him. I was really impressed with Timber's captaincy today. He fed the hot hand, and the hot hand was Lungi. Marco came through with a little bit there. Vian as well. What a ball to dismiss Travis Head. And you're sitting there going, they're 66 for 6, 70 for 7. Can we make them 80 for 8? But no, Alex Carey. And it reminds us of what Men has said, that Alex Carey is going to play a knock that potentially wins them the game. And it's those the runs in the lower order that could do it. Alex Carey and Mitchell Stark. At the end of the day, I was happy because we took a wicket, and now we've got 2 to go. If we had 3 to go coming into today, I'd be like, it's an Australian coronation, and it could potentially be a procession. But yes, that last wicket that Kagiso took was important, but the other side of me just sat there going, we spent 45 minutes trying to take 3 wickets, and in doing so, we let Australia back into the game. At that point in time, when we took that 7th wicket, Australia had a lead of 140. Now it's at 218. They've put on about 70 more runs in that last 45 minutes. even the steward at Lords was was complaining to me, and he was like, "No, man, Timbers Fields is just too cautious. He's not attacking. Like what he complained about deep point, the sweeper at point, Tristan Stubbs, and he was like, bring him in. Um, we'll also need to talk about the drops. I don't call they're not drop catches, but the balls that dropped in front of slipped. And I'm sitting there going, guys, take 5 steps forward, please. And then Marco gets one in the chest because he's too close. And and then we have to also talk about the no balls. I know Werner spoke about the no balls, the little things. Werner, I'm gonna still sit on this one, my man. Um, I I know this game is a final. The issue for me was always they were gonna make mistakes and small little things were gonna creep in. These are the mistakes that I was talking about. The question is, do we have enough to overcome these mistakes? Because we haven't been in this situation before, and these little things are happening. And that last 45 minutes was that. It was a moment where you, if you're Australia, you know how to kill a team off. If you're South Africa, you need to figure out how to take these wickets, and you're stumbling your way there. And it was a bit of a stumble, and I'm like, oh, guys, this team hasn't been here before. They're a lot younger, and it's like those 45 minutes. If we lose this game, I'm not going to look at Bo Webster's review. I'm not going to look at the no balls. I'm actually going to look at these 45 minutes. We're at the hot hand. We were pumping, and maybe those 45 minutes that carry innings is what tips it for Australia. And oh, like it was hot. Like it, my heart sank because I knew. I look. I'm always optimistic, Tim. You know me, but oh, that last 45 minutes was horrible to watch. They just became sloppy in the field. They rested as though they were back in the game, and you got to be switched on, guys. Like every single hour, and they just weren't in that last hour, and it hurt us.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly. I was saying to a friend, I said, listen, if they get to 200, and I have to make a bet, I'm putting it on Australia. Anything over 200 for us, I don't care what the unless you're going to say, unless they say this morning they're going to say this is the best day to be batting in this test match. It's
It
going to
is.
be, it's yeah. I don't care. This is pressure. This is not taking into account South Africa. It's not taking into account this is the final. It's not taking into account we're playing for a trophy. Those things sway it massively, massively. You can't go, well, you're going to put those things aside. You cannot. You cannot put those things aside, particularly if you are a South African. You just cannot. Australia can do that sort of thing, but that's because they've won a whole lot of things. They can do that. That's easy. It's not easy for us. Fernie has a good point. If we lose by 17, I'm going to be fuming. I'm going to be absolutely fuming if we lose by 17. That's
I
all.
know.
If we're going to
So
lose, I'd rather lose by 100 than 17.
if we lose by 50, I'm gonna be fuming. Because of that last hour. But so let me tell you what happened after day one. Um, Shooks and the boys spent an hour. They left an hour later than the Australians. He was not happy with the way in which the team batted on day one. He felt that they needed to be a lot more positive. He was like, rather go out playing shots and be 80 for 5 than be 40 for 4. And honestly think the next level of this, obviously it's the positive batting, but it's also coming to these moments buttoned up, making sure that you don't give the opponent anything, like the no balls, like the catching, right? We were better than Australia on day one with the catching. They had a few more drops, but then yesterday those chances we took. I think was it how many wickets? And I'm including the edges that didn't carry. About more than 12, 13 wickets. And we're sitting with 8. Largely because the ball keeps on bouncing forward, but somehow common sense is not prevailing. right? Um, it's getting slower. The pitch is getting slower. It's not carrying as much, so you have to step up forward. And it's that, like, that last hour was everything for us, and I'm angry at that. I like the no balls. I'm going to excuse them on the no balls. I think when you've got all this adrenaline and you are trying to win, and it's on the side of the game where they kept us in the game, regardless of the no balls. The reason why we're sitting here going, it's 250 Oaks. There's still a chance. Yes, the pressure, the final, everything else, but we're not sitting here on day three going, Australia have a 300-run lead, and we still need to get 2 wickets. And yeah, look, it's happened once every 5,000 tests that we can do this, right? And I'm not going to bemoan the bowlers because that's their only blemish, right? Those 19 runs are their only blemish. And if I told you you would have just around 200 in the fourth innings to chase against Australia in the fourth innings, and your only blemish was you had to concede 17 runs to no balls, would you take it? I would. I didn't think we'd be chasing 200 odd in the fourth day on in the fourth innings of this test. I thought it'd be a lot more because I thought the Australian batters were much better than our guys, right? But my thing, Tim, and it's a nice little segue to what's going to happen today. I understand the pressure. I understand that it's a World Cup final. I understand you are up against this. Guys, watching these guys live is like chalk and cheese. It is like that spell from Mitchell Stark on day one was unbelievable. And it's, remember, like, Mitchell has all these World Cup spells in limited overs World Cup. So you just sit there looking at him going, are you even human? And then you watch Pat Cummins yesterday and you're like, what is this? That little caught and bolt from Marco Jansen set him up completely. I'm like, Marco had no option, no chance. And you just like, it's, Australia are incredible, but we've been talking up these batters for the last 2 years. We think these batters are the best we have in the country. We think these batters are world class. If chasing 200 does not excite you, even in this pressure, if this thing does not make you step up, then nothing will. I have a theory that South African cricketers are soft. I hope they prove me wrong. Because my worry is we get these 2 wickets and it's just a procession of wickets up until the end of the day, and we lose all 10 wickets today, and we're out, just like how Tim says. But I choose not to believe that. I choose to believe that there are some guys in there who are like, I've dreamt of this as a kid, being able to win South Africa a World Cup, needing 250, and the chips are down, and here I am in my back garden just slicing through the covers, and wanting to relish that. If they don't relish this opportunity, Tim, there's nothing more. Because if you told me on Monday it's around 200 in the fourth innings, I'm sitting there going, I'll take those chances. We're the underdog. We're supposed to be out of this game by a long mile. But somehow, Lungi, Kagiso, Marco, and Vian, and Kesh, because he took a wicket, kept us in this game. We owe a whole lot to the bowlers, more than we can even imagine. Because the batters, I just don't know. And I understand it's a tricky pitch, but guys, positivity. Like, and it's not even about technique now. Right now, it's about, do you want it? And in my head, I hope that they do want it. I just don't know deep down inside how they're feeling because, as you say, Tim, it's a World Cup final. It's 250. Only 4 teams have ever done this at Lords in the history of the game. Over the 100 years of Lords, 4 teams have chased whatever this amount is right now in the fourth innings. It is going to be incredibly hard, but the reward at the end is going to be so much more. I just don't know if our guys have it. Do our guys have it?
I'm gonna slightly change my answer. Um, I'm gonna say we can definitely win this game, but I'm gonna stick by my preview analysis, the one we did with Menace, the one we did a couple of weeks before that. I think experience is gonna count in the end. I think we're gonna come up short. I hope I hope that I will be coming across at the end of this test match on Monday and saying, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm sorry for doubting you, and I will 100% say that. No problem. No problem doing that. I just think the experience is going to count. But what I would say, this 40 minutes or so, this opening 30, 40 minutes is crucial. We have to get them out. The momentum is slightly with us. It is slightly with us with the way we got on our wicket and the late wicket of Carey, very, very late. It is slightly with us. If Australia bat for half an hour, even if they don't score too many runs, they score, I don't know, 12 runs or so, that's not
Mm.
imperative. It's going to be the psychological. Markham and Rickleton are going to go, when are we going to bat? When are we going to bat? When are we going to bat? And they're going to be over-analysing in their mind because they're going to be ready first thing this morning. They're going to be ready
Mm.
because they've done their net, they're focused, they know what they need to do. They just need to go out there and do it. The longer Australia are there, the more it plays into our minds and into the doubt that we could actually chase this. It's less about the runs that they score. It'll be useful, of course. It's more about the mental side here. So we have to get those two quick wickets as quickly as possible. We don't want Stark scoring 35. We don't want. And
Yeah.
that spells disaster. That spells
Look, and they're gonna
disaster.
come out attacking. This is the message in their change room is it's Lyon, it's Stark, it's Hazelwood. Go at it. You've got nothing to lose. We're already in a winning position. We back the bowlers, and to win us this game with the ball, these runs are bonus. And I didn't want these runs. I really didn't want these runs, guys. That 45 minutes was the most frustrating, like to watch because there's this momentum, this high. The South Africans are on a high. After that LBW that went our way, we're like there. We are there. The Australians are quiet. We're not hearing Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. We are. This is us. This is who we are. We're seeing a path to victory, and then somehow we switch something off, and and it didn't. And to a certain extent, maybe it could speak to Lungi's conditioning. Could he have gone for another two more overs? I don't know. But we went for our best bowler. Kagiso just couldn't find anything. And it was one of those Kagiso's nothing spells where you're like, oh, dude, just give us something. And finally gave us something. But it really, Australia really, if they look back at this game, it was those 45 minutes. That partnership between Carey and Stark was, oh, so frustrating. And we created chances. And this was like a test series, like a three-match test series. I'd be like, no, we got their numbers. It's fine. Knowing that there's another one to come. There's no tomorrow, boys. There really is no tomorrow. Saturday, I need to figure out what I'm going to do for my plans because clearly I'm not going to Lords. But we'll do that. But yeah, just going through some of the comments before we close out the shop. I don't know who X Man is, but I'm assuming he's an Australian. Funny story about the Australians. Met a couple of Australian journos and members of Australian cricket yesterday. I think they come from Melbourne, and they were like heaping praises on Timber. They think that Cam Green wicket was a masterclass. Him bringing in the third slip and doing that. They love the way he batted in the morning. They're like Australia respects Timber. I was acting like Timber's agent. Sorry, Timber. I was like, guys, if you love him that much, BBL contract, guys. If you want to see the short king do things, BBL contract for the Renegades or the Stars, just somebody. But yeah, it was a very weird day yesterday. I was like, yeah, he may not be loved at home, but clearly people love him everywhere. They think he's a smart cricketer. They think he's pretty much done everything right from a captaincy perspective. Tim, do you agree a little bit? Um,
I think the criticism is ridiculous. I think the criticism is ridiculous. I can't think of anything that he's got wrong. I mean, like really wrong in this test match. I think he's been on point. Yeah, and I think he's been on point for some time. If I'm honest, not just on captaincy, but his batting as well. he's in a real purple patch, playing the best cricket that he's played for ages. Um, he is statistically and in terms of performances our best batter. Um, the criticism he gets from all circles actually, because he got a lot of criticism on the Australian commentary that I was listening to at the radio yesterday. A lot of it. I don't know whether they were just being difficult, whether they genuinely believed it. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But you're not going to get any complaints from me from Timber in the past, perhaps not recently.
Yeah, no. Who scores the winning runs for South Africa?
I know we lose plenty of wickets. We lose plenty of wickets. So, um, yeah, we ain't doing this. We ain't doing this 3 down. We ain't doing this 3 down. That's not happening. That's not
Okay.
happening.
Okay, so it's a Marco or
Um,
Kagiso?
I, let's say Marco. Somebody put a stat. I was trying to find, and it showed the runs that he scored in all the finals that he's played for South Africa.
Mm.
T20, 50 over, and this, and it's a horror show. It's 1-0-3-6. It's a horror show of producing nothing with the bat. So let's go, Marco. Marco's gonna make 18 not out and hit the winning runs and take us home.
Okay. Well, there you have it, guys. That's the recap for day two and the preview for day three. We'll be back probably on Monday or tomorrow, depending. I can do tomorrow morning just to close out whatever's left of this game. But yeah, it's been fun doing these daily shows and also interacting with you. Yes, X Man, Pat Cummins is a legend. What is it? 300 test wickets, and yeah, well done to him. He's had a phenomenal career. It's funny, right? On the guys who've taken 300, who've taken what is it, 300 wickets. Kagiso and Pat Cummins. Kagiso got like an average a strike rate of what is it of 20 of 22 or 21, and Pat is like 20, I don't know. It's with that, but Pat Cummins and Kagiso are in rarefied air, and we're watching the two modern greats go at it in bowling really really well. But yeah, Purchase, good luck, guys. If this doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. You shouldn't be there. If you don't, if this scares you, then we know. I think what we said, Tim, before the start of this thing is that we'll see who the true players are and who we need to build on from going forward. Pressure is a privilege, but pressure is also a way of us figuring out who shines in the brightest moments and who doesn't. And yeah, this today's that day of guys trying to put their hands up and letting us know we don't have a true world superstar, but somehow maybe at the end of the day we will. Someone that everyone else fears and someone that looks back and says they beat Australia in probably one of in the toughest conditions they could ever have faced. And these are the guys. But yeah, good luck to South Africa today. Hopefully by the end of the day we have the test mace. And thanks for joining us, guys. Remember, please follow us at Full Quarter Pod on X. Subscribe to the Full Quarter podcast on YouTube. If you're new here, red button, please, there at the bottom. And thank you for all your support. Full Quarter Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's going up soon, like after this. And also, please remember you can buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com/, Full Quarter Podcast. Anything and everything helps. And yeah, from me, from sunny London. Sorry, Tim. But yeah, hopefully the sun comes through today, bakes that wicket, and there's not a lot of movement for the bowlers when we're batting. But good luck to the Proteas. Thank you very much, Tim. And to everyone who's joined, thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's goodbye from here and Lesale Kakahiso.